Okay, so it trimmed up along the floor. Like those big chips were already there. No, they weren't. I did those. Probably. Like I said, we don't care about the floor, right? Um, I am kind of contemplating. I think what I want, I wonder if we can do, if I do that, right? Because we don't want to do it this far because our tiles going to stick out. We want that butted right up against our new floor. When that's screwed down, it won't be as proud, but that's essentially where we're going to have the curb. So we'll check that our distances are that we're parallel to the other wall, and we'll be floating that out anyway. Um, and we need to get dimensions to trim the shower floor itself. And then the same thing with this side. So maybe we'll have to shave a little bit off this. What I'd like to do is whatever when we put that tile on the side of the curb is to be able to put it down into the floor area, so that when eventually we peel up this floor, we'll have a layer of stuff, right? We won't have to worry about trying to tuck this tile underneath. We'll be able to just butt it up against it and run a bead of caulk. Um, yeah, I think that's going to be the way to do it overall. So we'll need to get that big tile out and see how thick it is, and then determine how thick the thin set's going to be underneath it. I'm thinking an eighth. Isn't like an eighth of an inch. I'll look it up. There's somebody somewhere knows the distance. So, but yeah. So if we rough in those curves, get our measurements, then we can trim the pan down, because we want, even though it might not be perfect, gotta make sure not to step on that side where there's no support. It'd be nice to have the drain line up with this, but it's not nearly as important as having the drain in the center, because what you have is where's my marker? There it is. The pan itself is going to be sloped four ways, right? So you have, it's going to be square, well, rectangular, and then you're going to have essentially four triangles that point it down to the center. And if say I only cut this side and this side, right? Well, now this edge and this edge are going to be taller than this edge and this edge. So right here, when you look at it from the side, you're going to have your pan, this edge is here, and then when you go this way, it's going to slope down, and then along that wall you'll have an angle, and it'll look dumb. Now it's down by your feet, and I don't think anybody would ever notice it, but I would know about it. So drain's going to be in the center, and I think that means it's going to end up right on top of that, beam. So we might have to notch the beam a little bit to make the drain fit. So we'll see. We'll account for, well, no, so we won't account for the wall either, because we're not going to put the board up and then the pan down. Although we could, that would bump the drain a half inch over. We could do that. So we could leave a half inch. We could put our wall boards up and then do the drain, and that would also help with that gap here. It would help strengthen that up. So maybe that's what we do. Yeah, we'll need a hole here, here, there. We'll want to look at that rubber gasket. Where'd that go? This guy. See, the back's got a little bit of a lip too to go into the board. So I'd guess that this hole we want, when we cut it in the board, we want it to kind of recess. We want the rubber to recess in. So we don't want it bigger, so it's flopping around. We want it exactly this size. So maybe I'll have to get a big hole saw for that. We'll find out. But anywhere, it's got a little bit of wiggle room, but we'll want it pretty exact. And then we have the gasket for this one. Well, actually we don't, because that piece is bigger and it's going to go into the tile ways. So we'll have to think about that one, because we have one gasket for half inch, and that's going to go up there for sure. This one, I want to have one of their rubber gaskets in place. I just wonder about the depth of it, if it'll work. So we'll have to do a little test fitting there and decide what to do about it. This one might not get a rubber gasket. I don't like not having a rubber gasket for that to go around the pipe. Hmm. Wonder. Yeah, no, it's gonna get one. And then the tile will be cut the size of the larger piece, and then we just screw it down with sealant until it's into the tile, and then we seal on the cap. So, yeah, if anything, that one can skip the gasket because it's so high up. If we can't get our hands on one, I think they're cheap, and they should. I think there's a Home Depot that has them in stock somewhere. We'll just have to drive to it. Where'd that one go? Yeah, this one. So, I got the part number. So, see if I can find another one of those for the top, even though it's probably not necessary. So, yeah. So I started getting rid of the mold with a sander and respirator on so I don't breathe it all in. It's working pretty well. So we'll get boards cut. Like this one will have to be trimmed. There's a stud right here. And I'll have to measure it because I don't know if I want a little piece of board just going stud to stud. I guess it shouldn't matter, right? It should work just fine. But it might be better to split it and have, this stud be our intersection. Because all we need is enough scrap off of the pieces to make our niches over here. So, and then we're actually going to do a bunch of math for that too. So, this is such a pain in the butt. So doing that wall is going to be super important. And I think we want the floor in place. Or at least we want to know the measurements of the floor. We want to know the height so that we can do rows of tile, right? So it'll be like tile, and then that top edge of the tile will be the edge of the niche, so the transition looks really good, and it's not a cutout piece of glass tile. I'm also thinking about doing metal edge trim, so maybe I'll see what the wife thinks about that and then pick some up. Get some ordered, but it feels kind of slow. But doing this is going to be the next thing, is put this wall up so that we can put these walls up. And when they actually go, we'll dry fit them, and then when they actually go on, we're going to float them out from the stud with a thin set so that we can get them perfectly plumb and square to each other. And once the walls are up, we can put the pan and the curb down, and then we can waterproof all of it. Well, we'll put the drain in, then we'll waterproof all of it. We'll waterproof our waterproofing. I'm talking too much. Okay, so some of the foam stuck out too far, right? So this is the highest part, and now some of the studs stick out more than the others, but we don't want the foam to suddenly be what's in the way. We want the highest point of one of the studs to be what's in the way. So like, yeah, this came out, and you can see there's air behind it, which that's fine. What I should have done is just use two 1.5 inch boards instead of going for the glory and slapping that 2 inch in there, because then it makes it the exact height of the studs. You can see none of them stayed all the way in once I used the foam to seal up the edges. So this is where I tried just by hand with my hacksaw, and it sucked. So then I tried using some metal wire, and I tried using some weed eater cord to kind of like saw it back and forth, and you see it started to work, and then once it slips out, you're done for. Then I tried scoring it like 1/2 inch deep and just cutting little bits off of the razor blade, and that sucked. And then I did this in about 3 seconds, because if it can take the rust off my car, why wouldn't it take foam off a wall? Now, it does make a holy heck of a mess, but that's fine. We're just going to hit these higher spots. Anything like this that's only 1/8 of an inch, I don't care about that. I care about this big thick spot, a couple other ones. So maybe what I need to do is I got the level. I need to mark out the high spots so I know where I'm going to cut away instead of just guessing. And then hit it with that thing, make a mess, vacuum up the mess, and start working on other stuff. Yeah, so in the future, use two 1.5 inch boards or a 3 inch board. Don't go for 3.5 because it just gets in the way. And so far so good. It shaves it off really fast. Makes a heck of a mess. But I got to about this point and my grinder started to slow down significantly and started sparking at me. So I thought I got too much pink stuff in it. So we took it downstairs, got it apart. There really wasn't that much inside, but we'll take a better look. Okay, so grinder all torn apart. The way electric motors work, right, is you have all these are magnets, but the electricity makes them a magnet. And these are magnets, but they're just, whatever, there's some coils in there. One's north, one's south. That's all that matters. And these become north-south as they turn. So as each one of these copper bars touches one of the brushes, it'll turn. It'll be like, I'm north, I'm north, I'm north, I'm north. So it's constantly pushing in one direction. Well, if these short together and suddenly your north is in the wrong spot compared to, and slow down and get weird. So I'm going to clean up this surface. I blew out any of the pink foam. There really wasn't as much as I expected. I'm going to clean up these bars because the brushes are plenty thick and they still move. They're not like seized up or anything. So sand that down so it's nice and bright. Make sure there's nothing in those grooves. Put it back together and see if it works. Hey, here it goes all cleaned up. It's shot in the dark, but it'll save me $100, you know. Yeah, all back together. We'll see if it even, probably won't even start now, right? Because I touched it. Gar. Cool. Yeah. Fixed. All right, let's go fill it with foam again. Yeah, so here's the carnage. Pink stuff just everywhere. But it worked because it was a lot well, after I cleaned it up, I think it's still going to be a lot easier than doing it by hand. But we did bog the grinder down again, started sparking at us. So it makes me think that, oh no, I probably got foam inside my pipes. That's okay. I got wood inside the pipes before. We just had to take the wand apart and blow the wood back out. So that's not a huge deal. I'll try to vacuum those out though. But I wonder if where the brushes contact, it gets hot enough that the foam melts to it. And we weren't actually cleaning off brush material. We were cleaning off burnt foam. So we'll get it back apart a second time after I clean all this up. These other sections are flush enough to the wall that we're just going to leave it now. So yeah, one step closer. Yeah, that's what's doing her in. So you can see this one, actually the motor won't move and it's glued. The brush is like glued on. So what happened once it started bogging down and I let it go and cool off, that foam that's melting to the armature thingy there, it just freezes back up and yeah, there's little melted foams everywhere. So, well, we're done grinding away at foam and we can mess with this later tonight. I want to do some car work in the evening. So we're going to get back up there and get hammering away on the bathroom and we'll fix the grinder later because we know it can be fixed and it'll be fine.